Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your boy dGon here alongside Dom and Monty, and we're here to bring you the newest and latest episode of Power Spike. Guys, I gotta tell you, yesterday was a full day. I had a full day.
I think you mean failed leaker dGon.
No,
You can't even
not
leak
failed.
right.
No, I tried to be considerate because everyone knows I love the LCS for good or for bad. You guys rip into me here for that, but I love it, and so I try to help support the homies. But yes, before we get to that, yes, we will get to that. I caught wind of a move. I maxed my bench. Did you see that? I hit 245, and then I showed everyone I failed at 255. So can't just show the wins, you show the progress. Yeah, I know. It was nuts. And then I went to Monty, actually both of you, because we lived in LA. I went to Magic Castle. Did you ever go to
Yes,
Magic Castle?
it is so fun. Yes, I've been multiple
Oh
times.
my God.
It's great.
Oh
Magic
my
Castle.
God.
Oh my God, Dom, you don't know.
Oh my God. I went to Magic Castle yesterday. All right.
Okay, so I'll tell
thank you,
Dom
Monty.
since
Thank
he
you,
doesn't
because
know.
I'm still in my head about what
So
happened.
the Magic Castle, Dom, is a magician's like clubhouse, and you have to have an invitation from a member to go. So people who are members who either are magicians or who pay for like membership fees. And you go in and it is like an inside, it looks like an actual like kind of wooden, very ornate wooden castle. So it's very fake and very LA, but very beautiful and glorious. And what happens is that some of the best magicians in the world do very small shows there. So the biggest theater is probably like what 200 people, 250 maybe, dGon?
Maybe, but almost all the theaters I went to were like 30 or less.
Yeah, 30 people. Yeah, sometimes they just do like tricks at sleight of hand at tables. So basically you have all of these little theaters and then this one slightly larger theater. And there are these shows that you go to, and there's like world famous magicians that are doing very small shows and very intimate venues. And there's bars everywhere, and there's a steakhouse inside where you can eat good steak. And you just kind of stay in there for 5 or 6 hours in the evening, getting progressively drunker and watching amazing magic. It's really fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the best magicians all over the world. You cannot take your phone out. You're not allowed to take your phone out beyond like
You can't
the
take pictures
lobby.
at all.
And let me tell you guys, I like knowing how things work. You know, when I'm watching a show and I'm listening to voiceover, when production's swapping screens and shit, like I need to know how shit works. And every single one of these musicians, whether it was the bigger theater that was like, 30 people, whether there was a table, it was 4 of us, and the magician's right in front of you, and I'm watching like a hawk. Maybe a couple of old fashions in, but I'm watching like a hawk to see where it happens. And I got bamboozled, man. I got bamboozled. I was just constantly getting bamboozled by all the magicians, whether it was a large scale, small scale. This dude's balancing a golf club onto a stick with a golf ball on the stick. It was so amazing. It was so nuts. Yeah. I tried to think of a way when I was driving home last night. I was trying to think of a way. How do I rope this into the show and make it tie into everything? And it's just too great to need that. I know that you're not here anymore, but holy shit, Dom, and anyone that ever has the ability to go to Magic Castle, the Academy of the Arts Academy,
Magical arts,
you have to go.
Yeah.
I've put it off for such a long time. I've been in LA for 7 years. It was one of the things that I needed to do, and thank God I did. And holy cow, there was
Did you eat some good steak while you were there too?
It was so tender. It was expensive. Don't get me wrong. It was expensive, but it was so tender. They had like garlic truffle butter. It was a great night. It was so great. It was so great. But okay. This guy, the magician who won the golden buzzer in Sweden's Got Talent. Shout out Reinforce, the only Swede I know, Johnny Larson. And another magician from a show I watched sat in the audience because he wanted to watch, which is amazing. Does this mentalism shit where they like guess the card. So I'm like, okay, they do some sort of card counting thing. Got it. That makes sense. He takes someone from the audience who we sat with the whole time waiting. So like this woman was like, okay, she had rings on. She had a bunch of rings. He's like, oh, can you come up? Sits down, puts her ring, it takes her ring off, ties a ribbon to it. And then is like, hey, hold on to that. Okay, holds on to it. She's like, okay, tuck it into your finger. Tucks it into your finger. Okay, great. Goes to someone else and says, hey, I have this keychain in a pocket. Can someone hold this? Puts it in a guy's pocket. And then he goes, okay, open your hand. Ring is gone. And it's in the dude's chest pocket with the keychain. At what point did this happen? Unless those are plants. And again, maybe that happens, but I could not for the life of me figure it out. There was no physical touching. I just can't. Magic is amazing. All right.
I
disappear,
agree with you. Yeah, anybody should absolutely, if you have a chance to go to the Magic Castle in LA, it is fucking incredible. It is a great time, and you should go for sure.
Yes, if you know a magic tricks or a card trick, and you see me at LCS in the next 2 weekends, please show me the magic trick, and I'm gonna be very skeptical and call you out if you suck at it. But if you're amazing, this is gonna be my reaction because I didn't realize how much I love magic. All right. Sorry for that anecdote. So that happened at the end of the night. But before that, I got a story to tell y'all. So it's time to listen up, nephews, because there's a certain way that you got to do things. All right. So yesterday, well, maybe not yesterday, but yesterday is when it all went down. So earlier this week, caught wind. There was a move happening. There's a rustling of the leaves. The first LCS move of the offseason happened. And generally, there's a process when you are media. The general media process is when you're a leaker. So when you see your favorite sports teams or, candidates or whatever for like elections, like they follow the race, they're stepping out of the race. There's a process towards it because there's value in having that information to get eyes on your content and your product and becoming a trusted source of information. And so generally you confirm that it happened, and then you try to go to the org that can confirm that and then say, hey, I know this information is here. Let's work together and, let me get the credit for putting this out. And then you can, make your official statement later. So I confirmed that it happened. I then go to the Immortals management, who's making a move. They made the move away from Coach Sharkz. And they go silent on me for about an hour. And then, make the official post that they are letting go of Sharkz. And then a minute after that, they're like, hey, we have no official comment. Our, person that made the decision politely declines to comment, or politely declines your request for an interview. Sorry, I can't be more of help. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? And so that's where then afterwards I tweeted saying, hey, disappointing that we couldn't work together on this thing. Then spawns like the conversations about other leakers that just put shit out, and whether or not it's accurate or not, whether or not they care about if it's damaging to the party or not, they just want to get that information out first. And that shit happens all the time. We've seen it now with a lot of reporters or the Pokemon, the people that don't use their name, their face and name with their accuracy, because I hate that shit. It doesn't matter if you do great work or not, put your name on that shit so that there's a trail whether you get it right or not. And that's what happened. And they're just, Monty, it is so frustrating. It is so frustrating that there's a lack of understanding on why that's important. And so
I just think it's stupid. Yeah, I just think it's fucking stupid of Immortals, because the next time somebody has information, they're not going to go to them, and then it's just going to be leaked, and they're not going to have any kind of collaboration in how the information comes out. So They're just idiots. Like it's the stupidest way they could react. I mean, sure, they win this one time, but next time they're just going to get scooped and nobody's going to give a shit. And it's very unprofessional by them. Also, that's not how this works. Now, you can trade something, right? If you're the org, you know, dGon, they could have said, "Hey, okay, you got us, but we're going to give you this exclusive interview in return of letting us, you know, make this announcement, or we can collaboratively make an announcement, right?" But you absolutely can't do what they do, which is just go silent, drop it, and be like, "No comment, lol." It's like it's so stupid.
I don't know.
So,
I don't know if it's fair to call
next
them
time.
stupid. Like, they've only failed to make a winning team in the last 6 years of play and lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, and they haven't even generated a fan base while doing it. So I don't know. I feel like they could be just competent.
Well, all right. I think that actually, here's a hot take for you. Immortals is one of the more competent teams because
they just
what does
lost the least.
No, I think they actually made money. That's what I think. Because I think they get their rev share and they basically run revenue neutral or with a slight profit. And my question to you is, what's the difference monetarily for them between last place and fifth place? And the answer is nothing. You don't get any extra money for being fifth place. You're not going to get any additional sponsors. There is no extra revenue share if you go up in placement. So in many ways, they've been a lot smarter than Team Liquid, who's burning $6.9 million on a failure of a roster, like a failure of a super team.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, if you're,
like,
if you're
I
just
know
in it for the immediate, then I think that's fair. But like the whole idea is supposed to be the teams are like trying to create a league that has interest. But yeah, I mean, if everyone just did the Immortals approach, then yeah, we could just have no
whose
league.
fault is that? Whose fault is that? It's not Immortals' job to lose money. It's Riot's shitty business model, which, fair enough, they are trying to change now. And they are incentivizing competitive success. So maybe that will change things for Immortals. But it's not some sort of prerogative that Immortals has to lose money to be slightly more competitive. I mean, I hate to say it, but Riot created this garbage business model that doesn't incentivize most teams to win. Like, unless you're going to Worlds, it doesn't really matter how well you do. The only difference, guys, is if you go to Worlds, then maybe you get more sponsorship money. Maybe. And I mean, it's right now because the teams aren't really getting meaningful sponsorship. I'm not even sure that matters.
I mean, they started by originally losing a fuck ton of money in LCS, so it's not like they like had this like great genius idea. Like they came in and they lost like million. They were like the first team
that was
lose
pre-franchising.
millions.
Sure, I agree with you, Dom. But that was no Winston, and that was pre-franchising. You know, the post-franchising, post-Noah era, I think has been more prudent. They've been more prudent than most. And like, I don't like the results of it. I'm not arguing that this is a good thing for the LCS, but I do think it's a good thing for Immortals.
The post-franchising Immortals, was that what was that? What team was that? Was that Hoonie? Was it the Hoonie roster?
Pre-franchising?
Yeah.
Pre-franchising,
pre-franchising was Reign over Hoonie.
And then it transitioned into like the Dark
Optic. It was Optic. It was Optic. It was Optic. It was Optic. And then Optic sold it back on over, and then they signed former CLG great Xmithy. Remember? They had like that thing. They had like the sparklers.
Wait, didn't they lose a lot of money there? Didn't they lose a lot of money? They got Soaz Xmithy. Like, wasn't the whole idea that Xmithy was getting fucking paid for the first time in his career? So wait, didn't they just lose money multiple times and have shit results? Like, didn't they just do everything bad? Like they don't have a fan base. They didn't win. They didn't win games. They don't make money. Like what have they done well? Like now they're making.
You're forgetting my favorite pivot to try and have a fan base, Dom, which was when they put Jordan Sherman in charge of the org. He decided that they were going to be a Great Lakes team and try and have a Great Lakes fan base.
Yeah,
which by the way, as far as I can tell, just means like Michigan guys. They were just going to activate in Michigan, even though they were in Los Angeles. And surprise, surprise, that also failed to drum up any kind of fans.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually pathetic how unpopular the org is. Like I've almost never, it's crazy. I feel like I could make a new Twitter account, only post like shitty league memes for a week and have similar interaction, if not more interaction than their entire account with 130,000 followers. Like their impressions, like when they play a game, they get 3,000 impressions. Like if I posted a picture of my foot, I would get
Well, that
100
would get a
times
lot,
those
to be fair.
impressions. Maybe a million.
Yes, for sure.
Like it's actually just so pathetic how poorly run everything is, and like it's just they just have no strategy with how they approach content creation, like what they're trying to do as an organization. The Great Lakes thing is just a complete like joke. It's like, yeah, we're a Great Lakes team. We're gonna capitalize on the Great Lakes fan base. It's like, is there even like a big League of Legends like LCS fan base in the Great Lakes? Like, what the fuck is the point of that?
I mean, you know, from Buffalo to Detroit, Immortals owns it all.
I mean, I guess, man. Fuck that.
I think that's just an impressive foot, man. You know, I think that's part of it. Let's talk about to put a button on just the process of releasing information. Immortals did eventually reach back on out. We talked through what Monty said. It's like, hey, do you not see the ramifications of like what if we weren't cordial and I don't want to see you succeed, the org succeed? I could just slam out information after that instead of working together and, you know, scratch my back, I scratch yours, and we push this out. So I appreciated the management, which is new-ish management, new over the last year, that it's like, okay, cool. Here's the process. This would be helpful in the future. Here's why it's helpful for me. Here's why it's helpful for you. And here's multiple different things that we can do in the future. And that was cool. Like, I appreciated that. I do think that in esports and in our industry, a lot of people get to where they're at because they never acknowledge when they're wrong, ever. They always are like, they always pivot to the success or blame someone else. And I appreciated someone taking accountability, or not someone, it was multiple people taking accountability and talking it through. So that's why I'm not going to just bomb them in the future with just the news. If I catch anything, I do appreciate that, because that stuff's rare. Rarely does anyone take accountability.
Yeah, we'll see what actually happens, dGon. You know, it's one thing to say sorry now. It's another thing not to do it again in the future.
Yeah.
You know, fool dGon once.
We'll see.
I will remind you of this if they do it again. But I also want to talk about actually Sharkz. Like, dGon, what do you think about Sharkz being let go? Because I think this is pretty controversial, considering that as much as we bag on Immortals, they did at least have a better performance this split.
They got place.
But they got last place, right? So it's this is the dichotomy that I kind of picked up on. We could all tell that the sentiment about the team was different, that the roster makeup was different, that their scrim results, which I got to see, were high. And I don't know how much value you put into that, both of you, but I can understand why they mental boomed when I saw the sheet. This whole like fucking scrim block of weeks of scrims are green. They're beating top fucking teams, and then it goes 0-1-0-1. It's like, what? Like it's nothing is lining up, and you can see how it kind of mental booms. And so I think that is kind of a very difficult thing to try and galvanize. Also, with Sharkz, for people who don't know, Sharkz was a D1 tennis player. Man lived in Belarus. So Belarus. That is not a very well off country. A way out is tennis, and my man's made a way out to play D1 tennis, get himself an education, and stay competitive. And then came back, was a very large influencer in the CIS region, coached in Europe, and then found his way over to FlyQuest, the rise of FlyQuest, when they were using budget roster, into last year where he stepped aside for Coach Song and was like head of coaching. Not exactly sure what the structure was there, but Song was the one that had the reins of that super team last year. Everyone gets let go because it didn't work out. Finds himself here with another budget roster and building a culture of success, building something here, and then not getting the opportunity to see it through when they've emphasized a 2-year plan. That to me feels like both either a culture fit that Sharkz wasn't it, or Immortals, again, getting in their own way instead of trusting the powers at be, your subject matter experts, for knocking it out. That's how I've felt about it. How do you feel about it, Dom?
I mean, I just never trust any org when they give you the 2-year plan. Like, the 2-year plan is what orgs say when they put together a dogshit roster to try to make it seem like they're building towards something. They never are, right? Like, we know this for years. This was the same terminology that Golden Guardians used when they put together that horrible roster of Niles Iconic, Blaze Olive, and like, do you remember they said the same thing? They're like, we're going for a 2-year plan.
I
with
totally forgot about that. Newbie.
Yeah, Newbie was there. It's like you got a 25-year-old LLA support who like is bald and he's somehow going to be here for 2 years. Like, what the fuck? This guy's going to be retired in 2 years. Like, what do you mean he's going to be playing for fucking 2 years? So
Balding, I mean, I don't even a stray right here.
Did he even play for 2 years afterwards? I want to see if he actually. Yeah, no, he didn't even play for 2 years after this. I mean, it's actually just such a joke. Like, he was retired within a year and a half. So I don't know. Orgs just do this shit, and you know that it's never going to be a thing. Like, you wouldn't sign a player like Ole even anyways for a 2-year plan. Like, Ole is a player that is better right now than a lot of academy players, but he probably doesn't have like you don't think he's going to be that much better in the future. You know, like he's a known entity or known quantity. So the idea of 2-year plan with this Immortals roster, it doesn't make sense. Number one, tactical Ole, like, how is this a 2-year plan? Like, you have players that are at this point mega veterans. And yeah, like, number two, when you look at this team, it's like, congratulations, you went from 28% win rate in summer to 29% win rate this split. Excellent, man. I guess, like, you got 1%. Nice. In 2 years, maybe we can fucking hit a 32% win rate, and then we're really fucking cooking on Immortals. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, just win games or just shut the fuck up.
What do you make of it, Monty?
I mean, clearly it wasn't a 2-year plan. I think that's what bothers me is like if you are going to try development rosters, then you have to give time to develop. And I think Sharkz is a very experienced coach and has had success in the past. So like I mean, a lot of the coaching stuff I've found odd in the past. Like, I mean, Gyoto getting let go also, I think was quite strange. And it just seems like, unfortunately, a lot of these orgs.
I think Gyoto left. Like, you mean from Immortals or from TL?
From TL.
Okay. Yeah.
He did leave from Immortals.
Yeah.
I also think that going to that iteration of the TL roster was not in his strength because he was, I think, better at developing players than dealing with like egos of giant stars. That's my opinion. So I think it was a kind of a strange move for him. But I think when we look at coaches, a lot of orgs, it seems to me, don't actually put the most confidence in their coaching staff. And in fact, like they let the players essentially run the team and get rid of coaches. And to me, that is a very strange way to operate a team because it allows a lot of pettiness to kind of creep in. And, possibly it's the fact that the people running these teams don't actually understand how the game works or understand esports coaching environments. So perhaps like they're easily swayed. But I think investing, generally speaking, more power into established coaches is probably a good thing if they truly want to develop players, if that's the goal.
Let's develop Armeo. He's been a pro for fucking like 12 years or some shit. Yeah, let's develop Armeo, tactical, and Ole. Like, well, I don't know, man.
Well, it's like why are we getting rid of Yamato and like Sharkz instead of Armeo? I mean, it's a good point, right? Like make upgrades to the roster. If you want to develop, then develop. Commit to the development.
Yeah, we're developing Cabo Sharp here. He's first in LCS in like 2015, but yeah, he's gonna develop.
It's all right. I think Seiken could use a lot of development, so I'm still hopeful.
Yeah. So with that, I'm gonna sit down, talk with Sharkz, and we'll get an interview out, and we'll get his side, and maybe Immortals will answer that. They didn't want to get into a he said, she said thing. I don't think they're used to that. I'm just like, hey, look, just put something out. Let's put something out. If it's vanilla, whatever, it's vanilla. Now, you have things that you can build on. You had success positives that everyone noticed from this split. Don't let the narrative just kind of get lost in the sauce. And
this is where the Korean coach comes in, by the way. 1,000%.
Monty, you brought up Gilhoto, who is currently over at Case.
Yeah, he's in ERLs.
Yeah, he's in the ERL after coaching Gigantes last split, who ended up getting bought. One thing you said was maybe his strength wasn't managing egos. What coach? What name a couple of coaches for both of you that we're good at?
Grabs is like the egos. Obvious one.
Grabs.
I mean, Yamato is another good one. Like Yamato, the whole thing that other coaches would say about Yamato is like that 2022 Fnatic roster. That was a super hard team to coach when it came to like egos. I mean, you had upset on the roster with humanoid. Like, you know, you just have like a bunch of people that have been mega veterans, right? Like the youngest player on that roster is like, I guess it was Razork, where Razork at that point had been playing for 2 competitive years. So that was a hard team to band-aid because clearly there were just massive issues with how like the resources would be distributed amongst the team.
Do we have one in NA? Like, I have a name, but I'm not sure.
Maybe like Kane or something.
Oh, Kane would have been interesting. I was going to throw out Zix.
Yeah, sure. Coaching Valorant. I don't know. I feel like Zix,
he left.
I don't know, like, didn't he have like a pretty high profile TSM team that he just wasn't able to do anything with? I have to go back and look, but I felt like this guy had a team and failed like that.
Was that the first Bjerg double?
I mean, Reaper would be another good one because he got Jack's backup, which allowed him to like bench Jensen and the rest of the roster, which I think was pretty important. And that actually got them to Worlds, right? That was the year they got into the semifinals at Worlds. So I think you can see the power of, you know, when you actually invest power in your coaches and back them up. Because here's the thing, guys. If it doesn't work, you can always just fire the coach. But you can't actually test. This is what bothers me. You cannot test the coach's ideas if you don't fully empower the coach. If you fully empower the coach and he's like, well, we got to bench these players. You're like, okay, well, I'm going to back you up on this one. If it fucking crashes and burns, that's when you fire the coach, guys. That's when you kick him out. But if it works, and then it looks really good. And like in Cloud9 case, they actually did have the best competitive success internationally, basically in LCS history.
Yep.
And then part of me thinks then Immortals' goals coming into the season must have shifted. If your development roster was their goal to make playoffs, was their goal to develop players? Because it feels like there's a disconnect there.
God. I mean, if you're in an 8-team league and your goal is to make top 6, it's like, what the fuck are we even competing for at that point? That is just a pathetic goal to have.
Well, no, you guys are not remembering the timeline. Their goal when they assembled this roster was to be in a 10-team league and make top 8 above Golden Guardians and EG, who weren't signing players. So I think they did think that they were going to be a playoff team, given that Golden Guardians and EG were not making moves. Now, we know the reason now why they were not making moves. But it's not implausible, right?
Also, I think it's okay to acknowledge this is how far back we are, and that's what we're playing for. And I think that's something that Immortals in the past has never done. It's like, holy shit, we're so much further behind the, you know, what was like the Dignitas. Look at Dignitas. They're able to at least string together fucking playoffs and get themselves in there and have performances out of Dove, out of XU that you're like, okay, you can build on, but also this kid can tilt.
I mean,
off
I watched those playoff
planet.
games.
Yeah, he tilts off the planet and like GG, that's it. But also he can hang with the best. So, you know, I think Immortals has their work cut out for them. They've made the move away from the coach, and we've shared some of our thoughts on that. So All right, Immortals news to kick things off. Again, that was all part of a very busy yesterday that I had. I told you guys yesterday, maxed my bench 245. It was awesome. But, the actual exercise, Monty, is only part of the gains game. The other part of it is what you put in your body, nutrition, right? And I'm a protein heavy guy. And a great way to do that is with our friends over at Factor. That was smooth, everyone. That's called
Very
being
nice.
a professional.
I like that.
Thank you. Thank you. Only takes 2 minutes. You pop the seal on top of the meal that has been mailed to you in a frozen box. Put that stuff in your fridge. You pop it, 2 minutes to cook, restaurant quality, and you're good to go. You can get different types of meal packages. I got the protein heavy one. It was delicious. Dom also was able to try it. And it just creates a much easier lifestyle because you don't have to think it necessarily about what am I going to cook? All these fresh ingredients. I got to go to the grocery store. Nope, it's already done and prepped for you. Dom, how was your experience with Factor?
Factor is awesome. I miss Factor right now because I'm in Europe and I'm eating non-Factor like prepared meals, and they're like all right, but it's just if you get spoiled on one thing, like it's way different. I mean, I've used Factor for years. Before I started eating Factor meals, I tried a bunch of different companies, and this one was by far the highest quality when it comes to like taste and just like the way that the meals keep. I think is one of the best parts of it. Like I get a box, I normally get 12 meals, right? And I do that over the course of 1 week. And even by like the end of the week, the meals still taste just as good as like the first meal. It doesn't get old at all, like in the fridge, where some of the meals they just don't keep as well. You can tell that you're eating a 6th-day meal or a 7th-day meal versus the first-day meal. So yeah, I mean, I love Factor meals. They're perfect. I mean, you can get whatever you're feeling. Big different variety of foods. I mean, you can get like more Italian dishes. You can have just pure, like if you just want pure chicken and vegetables and rice, you can get that. If you want stuff that's a little bit more tasty, they have options for that as well. Like you just got everything you need with Factor. So yeah, actually I'm looking forward to getting my meals back when I get back to the States.
There you go. Again, calorie smart, protein plus, keto. There's all different types of build paths, as well as it's like almost like Runes of Mastery. It's different types of build paths that you can get, pre-made builds, or you can build your own. Monty, how was yours? Oh, damn. That's right. Monty's in Korea.
I'll be getting mine soon. I'm coming back. I'm coming back to the States in May, and I will be trying Factor when I come back for sure. So
however good you expect them to be, it's going to be better than you expect.
Yes.
That's what I always say to people.
Yeah. So I'm going to be back.
No, I was gonna say I've been like talking about it on a stream a decent amount, and I actually had Forrest Within message me, and he's like, "Dude, what do I have to do to start promoting these?" Like he's like non-sponsored. These are like insane. He sent me like a whole like message about like how good his Factor meals were. So yeah, I gave him the rundown of which meals I like how to choose them, because he was just doing the one thing is like you should go in and select your meals. I think a lot of people they just get the box, whatever. I mean they'll send you meals, but normally when you get like a box of 12 or a box of 10, if you don't select your meals, they'll send you like 2 of 5 different types, whereas if you select your own meals, you can pretty much try everything and see what you actually like.
You can try it all and then see what works and then get on that kind of routine. I forgot 100% what I had, but I had some sort of protein heavy Spanish inspired dish that had cheese. Like cheese was one of the like things you pour the cheese onto your meal. It was so good. It was so good. I kid you not. Again, like Magic Castle, I was like surprised on how this works. I don't understand how this works.
Yeah.
But for you all at home, you have the opportunity to go try it before Monty does when he comes back to LA by heading on over to factormeals.com/powerspike50 to get 50% off. That's powerspike50. Go to factormeals.com/powerspike50 to get 50% off your order. Thanks to our friends over at Factor. All right. Again, I know that. Yeah, okay. Now that we've done that, a lot of comments are like, "Hey, guys, you're, we're doing these reads, and I don't understand. Just talk about the league." It's like, wait, guys, wait. We used all the products that we share with you guys.
I've said this on other shows too, but like we've turned down deals that we thought, that we didn't like personally, or that we didn't think fit the audience. And we are genuinely excited about these things. Like Dom's used Factor for years, guys. All three of us have been using AG1. You know what I mean? Like we try and get stuff for you that, if you go and get it and enjoy it, it helps support us. But we don't want to give you things that you're not going to like. And I literally use all of our sponsors that we have on LFN.
Yeah. And I literally didn't even Factor was like offering like, oh, we'll send you like a free box or whatever. I'm like, I'm just gonna keep this. Like I already have my thing every single week. I get a Factor box. I'm not even like taking the free box. It's like, yeah, I'm just gonna pay it anyway. Just whatever. Just give it. I'll just keep the subscription going. Like it's good enough.
All right. So thanks to our friends over at Factor. And thank you all for supporting us show after show across the whole platform. We really appreciate it. And it helps us, again, stay on top of all the different leagues that we have to watch and all the hours that we put into our crafts. So then give you guys entertaining shows, entertaining, informative. Because if you just wanted the results, you can go to Leaguepedia. You can go watch that yourself. But you want the context there. That's what this allows us to do. So thank you all for supporting us. All right. Next up. Oh, do you hear that? Woo, woo, woo. No. That's not laser beams. That is the fraud alert alarm. We've got a fraud. And it's in the West. I mean, we could have gone with Team 1 because they lost earlier. We could have gone Guangdong Freaks.
We could do Team 1 too. We did Guangdong last week. We can't do them every week.
We theoretically could to see you like writhe in pain.
But I admitted that they're frauds. What do you want from me?
Yeah, we just need to like beat it down. We you know what will be the ultimate? This will be the ultimate.
Tom, they're gonna beat D+ and KC this week, and you'll see.
No! They're gonna lose to both D. The thing that's so crazy is they're gonna actually lose to both D+ and KT. And FearX plays against Bro and Nongshim, so FearX is going to win versus Nongshim
bad, man.
And Bro, and FearX is going to make playoffs over KDF.
Yep, that's probably. I agree with you. That's probably gonna happen.
And CD Max is gonna make all of his players cry. Jeez. All right.
And they'll deserve it.
Yep.
That was a baby fraud alert. It's time for the real fraud alert. I made a joke about it last week to the KC fans saying, hey, KC fans, you should enjoy it while it lasts. The French-Spanish, fan war of the LEC, because they're tied at 1 and 2. Well, now it's time to unveil the true frauds. It's not Karmine Corp. It's MDK. What has happened to the Mad Lions? Let's get into it. Oh boy. Mad Lions, they have themselves a week. They lose the head-to-head against Karmine Corp. What has happened to this team, Dom, that made finals, impressed everyone? We had great rookies there. Now it's all falling apart.
I mean, I think that people just aren't used to the format. Like they had a good run and it like obviously they made it to finals, but like that is a 2-week run where they overperformed in those 2 weeks. Like they were a team where before that it didn't look like they were going to be able to beat Fnatic. Fnatic beat them in the first best of 3s. And I think that they were ahead of the meta. They caught on to things early. Like they were able to pick up the TF, the ADTF when it was like giga broken before. And then they had an answer to ADTF in finals. And they just had like a way to surprise teams. They were really early on the Senna train where like Senna was super OP. A lot of other teams hadn't fully adapted to Senna, so they were ahead of that. But when it comes to like the team together, teams are getting better that they're playing against, and Mad Lions is having hard times playing just the actual meta. I think one thing that's hurting the team a lot is that Merwin just doesn't look close to as good when he's playing these like standard matchups as he does when he plays something that's a massive counter pick, or like when he's able to just play something that he's specifically proficient at. And right now, like when he's just playing Cassante matchups and things like that, it just doesn't feel like he has an advantage over other top laners. And yeah, I mean, like it's
the problem with him not having an advantage too is that creates pressure on other lanes to create advantages in order to have success. And unfortunately, their other lanes contain Frescoe and Supa, and those players are a lot less, when you put resources in them or they get ahead, they're a lot less consistent with those leads than we saw Mir win. So it's not great. It's not great.
Yep, and I think that the team is just playing like flat out worse early game. One of the things that made Mad Lions so good in winter is that they were one of the only teams that had like set plays on bot lane, where they were a team that understood how to like stack a wave level 3, bring the jungler at a certain timing, and actually kill the bot lane, where a lot of teams in LEC just don't have any idea how to have set plays. I mean, to be honest, when I watch LEC, I feel like even G2 doesn't have many set plays. Like, I feel like teams, they just kind of go into every single game and just try to play the game however they feel like it should be played in the moment, as opposed to like training team comps and being like, okay, if we have this type of pushing bot lane, we guarantee that we can stack wave 3. We're going to either split the map, like have our jungler like start on bot side, or we're going to like do 3 camps bot side into invade enemy jungle, and we're going to leverage like these variables, that these constants that they have in the game, so that they're able to actually make a similar play, and they understand how a game's going to play out, where the enemy team is kind of like trying to adapt on the fly. It feels like this never happens in LEC. So the fact that Mad Lions did have those set plays was part of the reason why they could get consistent advantages early game. But you got to remember, Mad Lions was always a team that threw their advantages. So now when they're throwing their advantages, that is not the surprising part. Even in like game 1 versus G2 in finals, they have a massive lead, then there's just like this horror and 4 people die. Like, that is not a surprising thing. They do have horror plays where the whole team dies frequently. The thing was, they were normally so far ahead that like their horror play would bring them to like even, or maybe they would just go from being like massively ahead to slightly ahead. Now when they're even in games, it's like, oh, we had the horror play versus vitality, oh, now we've just lost the whole fucking game. Like, that is the difference here. And I think they're just shit. Probably as well. Just want to throw that in.
Yeah, I mean, just in case you didn't realize, they look like shit.
Yeah, they look like shit.
I mean, I will say that the real shit cherry on top of the shit cake that has been their spring split so far was Mad Lions versus Karmine Corp that you brought up. Because the thing is Karmine Corp is just fucking terrible. And trying to watch this game and Frescoe play Nico, I was on my stream and I was counting the number of people he had hit with his Nico ults, and it was 1 at 21 minutes into the game. He was rocket belting away from CC.
Yeah, I saw that.
He was rocket belting into walls, and like face planting into walls during his ult animation, and then flashing but not getting enough distance because he failed his rocket belt. And like, I was, using his ult at very weird times to catch out exactly 0 people, or like on Seiken when Seiken had Ahri ult up. And it was really terrible. It was really terrible. I watched Supa die on Sivir in bot lane because he was trying to cancel a recall with Boomerang Blade, but it turns out that Upset wasn't actually recalling, and so he just tries to look under turret and then just gets immediately Zeri ulted and all in and dies as Sivir. I mean, it was a fucking train wreck of a game. It was some really disgusting individual play. And it's not like Karmine Corp had a banger game either. Okay? Like, Seiken was actively bad in a lot of that game, and yet they still can't get enough of a lead, and they still can't pull off a win here. So that should be very depressing to any Mad Lions Koi fans out there. I just don't think, in spite of the fact that, Elyoya and Alvaro and Mirwin are pretty good players, and I do think deserve more time on this roster. I mean, they got to make changes at mid and AD, because these are not players that are going to be long-term solutions. They are not going to suddenly develop into players that are going to be competitive consistently with the top of the table. And I think Mad Lions fans, I think Dom made good points about the meta, but also remember that it was like a bad day for Fnatic chained into Adam getting benched. And like, that's not going to happen again. Yeah. Right? And other teams have made adjustments. Karmine Corp, they fired their garbage coach, so now they're looking great.
Yeah, for sure. They're not having any of the same problems in draft. It's like damn, like maybe every coach is just an idiot. It can't be Cabochard's shitty champion pool. It must be that every coach is sitting there and being like, we have every champion in the game. We have Zeus as our top laner here. For our R5 pick into Renekton.
What?
Let's pick a no. Actually, we think
enjoy
Sion
losing
is the
to
best pick
Rogue with Urgot. Come on, that was great.
It's just so like obvious. I mean, it's so crazy how people view drafts, but it's fine.
That Carmine Corp SK game was legitimately one of the worst games of League of Legends I have ever fucking seen.
Yeah, it was literally like it's a bottom 5 LEC game of all time.
Of all time, it was so bad, guys.
And it's also, you know what's insane is that K Corp's been in the league now for they've only played like 15 games. They've played 15 games in LEC, and they have 2 of the worst 5 games of all time. The other one being that Vitality K Corp game that they played in winter. It was so fucking horrible. So that is just, it's impressive how bad the team is. Like, you watch the situation, it's like there's a Renata defending with Atalia. How is the only way that we could lose this game? Like, what is the only way we could lose this game? And they somehow get 4-man Renata ulted. It's like, how about Upset just doesn't stand in Atalia's face? Like, why is he afraid to stand in front of Renata's face? Like, split up your fucking carries. Like, this is something we literally were talking about this shit in like season 3 in competitive league. In season 2, I remember that was like something that I learned from one of the top team when I joined one of the top teams in Dignitas. Is they would always talk about like, yo, when we siege, both of our carries can't clump.
Otherwise, Malphite will kill you.
Yeah, I mean,
Fiddlesticks will kill you.
So maybe when the Renata ult hits us, our fucking carries are not killing each other in the fight. Like, it's just so fucking basic. That's number one. Here's another point I wanted to talk about with the Mad Lions roster. People made it seem like because Mad Lions was like, they're all rookies, that was like a massive disadvantage for the team. The fact that this team was coming in with like the same coach and 3 of the same players from EU Masters, that this was going to be somehow a disadvantage. This was one of the advantages that Mad Lions had, is that they actually had players that had played together before, so their bot lane was comfortable playing together. Everyone else is trying to get their shit together, figure out how the team is going to operate. Mad Lions already had an idea of how the team was going to play. For Scowy is going to be like a weak side mid laner. He's going to just play like, he's never going to have draft resources. He's not going to get many draft resources in game. His job is to like make sure that other people on the team get ahead. They were going to play through their strong bot side, which is something that they had been doing already in EU Masters. If you talk to people like Veteran, this is like the identity of the team, right? So the fact that they were rookies, it's not like how people tried to frame it. People just tried to sell some narrative of like, oh, they're rookies, and because they're rookies now, they're going to get better in the future. It's like, no, this team is going to peak in winter. And even people that follow the team were saying that they were going to fall off in spring, because other teams will get better, and it's harder for them to get better at the same rate because they already have like a higher floor than those teams because they've played together before. Now when the meta changes, they actually have to do things that they haven't done. They're going to have to try to figure out how to make this meta that isn't suited to them actually playable for this team.
Well, I wanted to push back on something that Monty said for you, Dom. I thought Supa was the rookie that you were most impressed with. Was it Alvaro that you were most impressed with? The one that you're calling out from last year? Because you attributed Merwin's success to his unique champ pool to get leads and make people feel uncomfortable. That was like, okay, that's solvable. But I thought it was Supa, the rookie, that you liked more.
The person that I liked the most, the rookie that I thought was the best was Alvaro, but Supa impressed me the most because I already thought that, because I thought Supa would be like complete shit, and he was actually pretty good. So I thought that Merwin and Alvaro would be good. I knew El Yoyo would be good. I thought for Scowy and Supa would just be terrible, but like Supa was actually serviceable / good through winter. I think now he's starting to fall off, but I mean, part of it is also that he was playing champions that it seems like he's better at. Like, you don't want to see the Supa Zeri. If the Supa Zeri comes out, you're going to see some ugly shit. That guy doesn't level his ult until level 8. Never seen anything like it.
My issue with Supa is that he creates a lot of instability in the game because he takes risky plays and he flashes forward. And I don't like the fact that he often takes like high risk, low reward plays and dies. That's what I don't like about him.
Yeah, I think the thing that I don't like about him is it just doesn't feel like he has like the team fight vision that other AD carries have. Like, so it doesn't feel like leads are safe with him based on how he plays like mid to late game fights. Like he just does things that like are just completely idiotic. Like in games that he won. I mean, people forget that this team was not like dominating Winter. Like they weren't some insane team. They were 5-4 in regular season. Like it wasn't anything spectacular. And even in that 5-4, there was those multiple games that they should have lost and they ended up winning, right? So it was just that stretch in playoffs where they actually started performing well. But if you look at like some of those games that they lost, like Super is just playing Lucian and just dashing into Renekton. And the way they band-aided this is they're like, okay, we're just not going to play Lucian anymore. Like, fuck it. We're just not going to play like strong picks. The problem is now teams are banning Varus. Like Smolder is going to get nerfed. Smolder is nerfed on 14.6. I believe 14.6 will be what people play starting in week 4 in LEC once we get to the playoff portion of the match or playoff portion of the season. So it's like, what are you actually going to play? And if we end up back in like a meta where there's like Jinx, Zeri, like Xayah, these types of picks where you actually need to like squeeze autos and you have to be mechanically proficient and you can't just hit people from 1000 range plus as Varus or like, you know, essentially play support as Senna, will he be able to contend with the top 80 carries in the league?
That's the question. This Mad Lions Koi team, then, as Dom has already outlined, he believes that they've peaked. There's no greater growth here that this team will. Well, it's less likely that they will continue. I won't say there's no greater growth. It's less likely that they'll grow from here. Monty, what is the cap here for Mad Lions as we move closer towards MSI?
I think that probably they are fortunate that there are even worse teams in this league.
Rogue.
Even if they lose to some of those teams like Carbine Corp. I will say I think that was a particularly bad match for them versus Carbine Corp. And I don't think that that's something that's going to be replicated. But like Giant X is in this league, Carbine Corp, Rogue. They still managed to string together a couple wins.
SK is such a bad team.
SK is crazy bad right now.
They might be the worst mid to late game team I've ever watched in my entire life.
It's like, so fun watching them, though.
I couldn't believe that Carmine Corp game because they literally just had one job, which is like fight a front to back team fight and group for Dragon Soul. And they just farted around for like 15 to 20 minutes doing none of those things, irrelevant, just like dashing into the enemy team from a screen away. Yep. And I mean, because what was so funny about that is you saw what happened when they actually went to the front to back, which is like, I was literally watching fights where Exakick was standing there as on hit Varus, not even moving and just getting 1000 free out, like literally right click of doom, stand there, just right into Scion for like 4 straight seconds. And it was so easy. All they had to do was pay attention to soul timers and walk back to Soul. And what's so insane is they gave up Soul and they gave up Barrett and they still fucking won. It was the most egregious win I've ever seen. Like, they deserved to win that game for most of that game, but they didn't deserve it at that moment. But that is when the win was given to them. It was disgusting. It made me feel filthy.
Yeah. No, I watched that game and I was like, damn, like, how bad is the average level of LEC? I mean, I think that the top teams in LEC are still going to be like decently strong. Like, I would even say like G2 and Fnatic, I could see both being better than the best NA team. But when you look at like the average strength of the league, I mean, like even Heretics, who's 4-2 right now, Vitality, who's 4-2 right now, like I don't believe in these teams at all. Like I don't think these are good teams. Like they have
what?
Massive,
you don't believe in Dagless? You're not a Dagless
flaws.
faithful.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, man. Dagless had a good week. I liked watching Dagless this week. I feel like
look, he's been better, but dGon, the question is always for how long? For how long?
I know.
I mean, the thing is, it's like he hasn't played in a way where it convinces me that he has overcome his major flaw. When I look at junglers, when I look at a player like Douglas, he doesn't know what he should be doing most of the time in the game. He's just kind of like clearing camps randomly and like trying to respond to things that people are telling him or trying to respond to things that are happening on the map, but it doesn't look like he has intention in his gameplay. Like he doesn't look like he has a fucking plan. When you watch junglers that are really fucking good, you can tell that they know what the fuck they want to do with the game. They go into the game, they know what to do. It feels like Douglas is just trying to figure it out as he goes. When you watch like Razork play, the reason why I think Razork is the best jungler in LEC is because he is so he's so correct in his analysis of how the game should be played and where his like opportunities are going to be within the game. That's like one of the things that Inspired's also really good at. When you watch these junglers that are actually top tier junglers, they have enough foresight to predict how the game should be played in most situations. It feels like Douglas has no foresight. He's just like, I guess I'll fucking start this camp now. Oh shit, somebody's getting dove, and he's just like running to the play late, seeing if he can fucking carry it. Whereas like, I mean, good junglers are able to like they understand that it's like, okay, it doesn't matter what order your camps are even spawning in. As a pro player, you have to be like, okay, this wave is stacking. I need to be there early. Like, do I have time to do these camps or not? And it feels like Douglas either doesn't squeeze enough camps before he actually has to respond to play, or he just doesn't know the play is gonna happen and he just misses the timing anyway. If he doesn't overcome this, I just don't see how he's going to be a top jungler in this league, or like how he's even going to be serviceable in this league once teams get their shit together.
Well, okay. Yeah, I mean, compare this to Razork's game versus G2, where he played a fucking immense Poppy game, right? And it was very deliberate, the things he was doing, the targets he was looking for in team fights, the way he was reacting to Lee Sin pressure early. It is very big night and day difference. Or a player like Inspired, for example, if you're an LCS fan.
I think that specifically in this Fnatic game, I went back, I just pulled up the highlights. The first 10 minutes that Douglas played here were very good. Unfortunately, the game's longer than 10 minutes, but he was playing Viego. I felt like he got a bunch of great ganks down. He got a gank up on the top side of the map at like 3 minutes and ran directly bot because he knew the gank was going to be there and was ready for the counter gank. Like that, and maybe just because, and Dom, you could tell me more because you're the jungler, but like, that to me felt like that was good game sense on what Razork wanted to do. And I was like, okay, like that was fun. Yeah, I could tell he read that play. I could tell that he knew what Razork wanted to do, and then he executed on top of it. After that, it starts to fall off at like 13 minutes. I think that's when he dies.
That game was not really his fault, because that was like Carzzy giving up a that was Carzzy giving up a big bounty, and
I mean, the whole
dude, I just love that game because like when they started to lose, I just watched Hylissang on Nautilus walk up and like auto a tower twice and then die, and I'm like, what the fuck are you even doing, dude? Like,
that happens every time. I mean, if the Fnatic Vitality game, it's just like, this is my whole problem with LEC. Like I said, there's just a lack of foresight into what is going to happen. Like, people don't play around what the strengths of what the other team is. You load into the game, you see that the enemy bot lane has double exhaust. Like, you need to instantly process what that double exhaust means. It's like, okay, so now it means that we don't win the all-in. Like, when we have our double hail of blades, we poke and we fucking leave. We leverage the fact that we have double range and we can actually push the wave faster than you to get level 2 before you, and we just poke you down. But we don't take these super hard committed all-in fights at level 1 because of the fact that they will be able to just nullify our AD carries damage for a long period of time. And if we're playing like a Nautilus side of things, or if we're playing like an Ashe side of things and we're just exhausted during our whole hail blades, or the AD carry is exhausted the entire time, and the Ashe has like, you're playing hail blades, so you're playing in bursts, you're just not going to have damage afterwards. I feel like people just don't play around what the other team is doing. Like, okay, they have double exhaust. What is the advantage of them having double exhaust? Oh shit, like that means that like when it comes to these like poke fights, they're a lot weaker because they can't like heal and stuff. Why don't these teams actually play around what the other team is doing a lot of the time? It's like, also like, there's also like lines when you look at like how Drake fights are played. It feels like teams don't understand that like giving a Drake doesn't mean that you have to completely run away from the Drake the entire time. And also, getting the Drake doesn't mean that you need everyone there to take the Drake that is free. Like, the whole game should be, okay, this is the status of the game. Obviously, we are stronger than the other team at Drake, so they're not going to full on fight us at Drake. So how do we still get Drake, but not overcommit our resources? And it seems like, people are just hitting top turret while the Drake is just being taken. It's like, come on, bro. Like that the enemy team is going to give you the Drake, so don't send everyone to the Drake. Like, play the fucking map more spread out. Like, make sure that you actually are covering the team's play, like counterplay the team's play that they're going to make while still getting the objective. I was watching LPL earlier today. BLG was playing versus OMG. One thing that BLG does so well is they understand it's like, okay, we're giving this Drake, but we're also going to make it annoying for the team to get Drake. So even though we're giving the Drake, we're still leveraging the things that we are strong at as a team. So if you have a Karma, he's like throwing mantra Qs and stuff. And because they're able to harass the enemy team while giving the Drake, for such a long period of time, they leveraged that into like getting a tier 2 mid, getting a tier 3 mid. So at the end of the day, even though they didn't fight the Drake, they end up with like a 5k gold lead off one play. Like there's one play that's happening. It is the enemy team going for Drake, and because of that, they lose 2 turrets, 3 kills, like fucking they lose complete control of their jungle, and the game just explodes. Feels like LEC is like, they're so unwilling to play on the edge of anything, and their ability to like determine what a winning play is, and their amount of precision and understanding a winning play and a losing play is so far off. Like you watch SK and it's like, how do you not know that these plays are going to be fucking terrible minutes in advance when you're playing like that? Like it's way too feel oriented, and it's not like there's no thinking going on. It's really criminal. It's hard to watch. LEC is fucking hard to watch this year.
Yeah, it does feel like the evolution of the game is starting to go past LEC, and they've got to get closer to playing towards the edge. It's no longer just hands diff. It is those types of things where you're like, okay, where are new areas that we can generate leads? Well, LPL's already on it, and they're figuring it out.
It feels like it's just G2 in LEC that has any understanding of this, of like playing the lines of things. Like they're able to understand what the play is for the enemy team and like how to make them sweat for it. Like not just give them the free play. Like just understanding like when G2 understands when they're stronger 4v5, it feels like LEC teams don't know when they're stronger 4v5. Like somebody dies, they're like, wait for him to respawn, pause the game 50 seconds, no one do anything, this guy is dead, we'll play again once all 5 of us are on the are on the fucking map. You can win a game 4v5 if they use resources and they're down like 2 ultis and they kill one of your members. Like fuck it, just like take the 4v5, you win at that point. It feels like teams are so afraid to fucking lose.
I love that description, because everything that you've said sounds like my solo queue games. I'm like, hey, look, I'm missing 1,300 health of meat bag in front of me as the AD carry. Everyone wait. Don't contest. Don't even go to it because you're an idiot and you're going to die. I would hope that the pros would evolve from that. And we'll get to see if LEC are able to do so. How fraudulent do you all think Mad Lions were? Let us know in the comments below. On a scale of 1 to 10, you know, and again, you can think about it. Right? They were finalists. They do have championship points, season points. I think season points are the name of it.
Don't worry, they won't be doing anything with those.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe. Right? If G2 win, is it the finalists or is the team with the most championship points? Because if they get a third,
it's the team with the most championship points goes second, right, if G2 wins.
So they might be able to do it. They might conjure up a sneaky third place. Maybe you know, call Adam some names. He blows up, gets benched again. You know, sneak their way on in. What did you make? What do you got him? 1 to 10, Monty.
I mean, they shouldn't have gone as far as they did last season, and like we know the caveats. So I would say like a 6. They definitely overperformed and are, I think, relatively underperforming now. I don't think they're going to continue to be quite this bad. But I also didn't rate them very highly because the other teams kind of threw on their path to the finals, and then they got bopped in the finals. So,
yeah, Dom,
I'd say a 6.
I'd go like a 2 out of 10. I'm the guy that tweeted looks like shit, and right now it looks like shit. So how could that be fraudulent? They just look like shit.
Well, I
think it's compared to their finals performance last.
Oh, then they're mega fraudulent. Like if you're expecting them to be the second best team in the league, then they are giga fraudulent. They don't look close to Fnatic right now.
YouTube and wherever you're watching. And while you're there, give us a follow and support Last Free Nation, and let Last Free Nation support you with your esports content, with your nerd content, and everything else that you want to hear from your favorite pundits in some of the biggest stories across gaming and nerddom. That was also a good one too, man. I'm just on fucking fire.
On fire.
It wasn't Magic Castle, man. The ring and the ribbon, and he put it in the pocket, and then he pulled it from over here. It was crazy, dude. They all have such great sleight of hand.
Hey, dGon, maybe you should do a magic trick and make Mad Lions good again. Can you do that?
All right. Okay, so we'll take Mad Lions. You put it in the wrist here, and then Voila! It's gone. Their suck is gone.
It's definitely gone. It's definitely gone. Whatever they had last split, it's definitely gone.
All right, that was Fraud Alert. Let's get ourselves into the next segment here. Over to the LCS, where we just had the elimination rounds of playoffs. Was that the first? It was the first rounds of playoffs. Oh, shit. The first rounds of playoffs, which included the top seeds playing against each other and the elimination rounds with the losing seeds. I think we got ourselves 2 hectic, great series and 2 series that sucked. That will set us up to our high key, low key, no key on which team's chances to win the LCS have which key for the spring. Let's get into it. All right. Cloud9 FlyQuest, they win.
I like how you classify the 2 incredibly sloppy series that we saw as great. When I see that FlyQuest versus Team Liquid series, I think, holy shit, FlyQuest is actually on the brink in this series. That makes me think FlyQuest is highly fraudulent because TL has, I mean, okay, Yun was a little bit better.
Yun was very good. I thought he was very good. He looked like a guy that they've been talking about forever.
But I really just hate this Team Liquid team. I hate them. I hate them because they took out of LCK, where even though he was in Breon prison, I still could get enjoyment from watching him play, where I really can't get that anymore. I hate the fact that APA has the champion pool that he has. I hate the fact that I have to watch these stupid double dragon compositions where they do the classic thing of sit around, the NA thing of sit around and wait until your opponent throws into you. I fucking hate that. I hate it when TSM did it with mid-zillion. I hate it now with Aurelion Sol and Smolder. It just feels terrible. Like the only thing I like about this team is impact, and at least he is like the stabilizing force here who is kind of continuously getting edges and advantages. But I think this team is just so bad. And I hate watching them. And I hate the fact that they took FlyQuest to 5 games. I kind of hate the fact that they 3-0 Dignitas. Because I don't want to live in a world, dGon, where this team maybe beats FlyQuest and then somehow makes it into finals and then just gets giga-bodied by Cloud9.
And goes MSI.
No, please.
More international APA beatings.
I mean, that would be funny. I would love to see him try and start some shit with Knight or Chovy and see what happens to him.
I had an interview with him that will come out later this week, where he's like, the shit talking does work. It does work. It affects people.
Look,
and I was like, I'm pretty sure
I agree.
And
by the way,
after typing more.
No, the thing that I like most about APA is the shit talking. Let's be clear, because I do think he gets into people's heads. Like, clearly people are getting affected by this because they keep commenting on it in interviews. And so credit to him. I mean, that actually is smart.
He kept saying monk mental after the Dignitas thing because he was like, I don't need a shit talk Dignitas. I was like, damn, on Dom. Dom, what did you make of these series before we predict the outcomes?
I mean, the Cloud9 series was obviously really good. Like, I think that's the team that people were looking forward to. Yep. I mean, I think they played just really, really clean games, and that's what you want to see out of like a top NA team. I think
Berserker decided to like plug his keyboard in for the first time this season.
Yeah, I mean, they just look like the best macro team as well. Like, they just look like they were really smart around objectives, which is something that you wanted to see from this team. I mean, Fudge was able to play the TF, for example. Like, I thought that the angle for Cloud9. So I thought Cloud9 was going to win. But I thought the angle.
Yeah, we said that last show.
Yeah, we said that last show. But I thought the angle for them to win was that Fudge would just play like weak side champions and just not die. Like that's all they needed from him, and they would just like carry hard through JoJo and Blabber, and have Berserker kind of just play like Varicetta, whatever. Like he'll just kind of exist. But they actually were playing like on the limits of their champions, and Fudge didn't have to go and play Renekton, Udyr, Cassante, which is what I was expecting him to just play. Like Renekton, Udyr, Cassante, just don't die, and you're gonna end up like winning the series. Like, just don't die to Sniper. You have better macro, you'll just end up winning. They actually leveraged their advantages over 100 Thieves in a way that made sense. So I thought it was a very good series from them. FlyQuest definitely had a bad series. One thing I wanted to talk about is like, yeah, Yeon looked better, but he's playing against Masu, who had a bunch of rookie mistakes, and also like, yeah, he's playing against like a rookie who's playing his first playoffs ever. So it wasn't like giga impressive to me that he was able to play better than Masu over the course of like most of the games.
I mean, the counter argument is like that's true of Fudge also, who was playing into Sniper, who was pretending that he was AS like blinding Aatrox and then just pooping himself in lane.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the difference is that like Sniper has just looked way better than Masu. Like well, in my opinion, Sniper has just looked like the best rookie. Like he's solo kill leader. I mean, he was putting people in the dumpster, and I think Fudge has been looking like really bad. Like Fudge was probably probably bottom 3 top laners in the LCS up until that point. So I guess that would be the difference. But yeah, I mean, I think the FlyQuest, the way that they played was really rough. It showed a lot of their weaknesses and why people don't trust them as a team. Jensen champion pool looked a little bit better. I guess I'll say that. Yeah, I thought his champion pool looked a little better. The fact that he was able to play like Ahri at a decently high level, I thought was interesting, because before this, he kind of just felt like a Orianna Azir 2 trick, and then like maybe people thought, okay, Hui would work.
Some karma.
Yeah.
So you think it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
Well, that's the whole problem, right? Like his karma was bad, so it just felt like, okay, so what is he going to play? Like Talia, he'll play Talia for sure. He'll play Orianna. Azir is gone. What else is he going to play if people remove that? The fact that he can play Ahri, now you have like 3 champion pool. He can also play like just other control mages if needed. 3 to 4 champions. Okay, you're fine. You're not a liability in draft anymore. The only thing is that FlyQuest needs to pick Jensen's champion early in the draft. They probably have to pick his champion first 3 most games, or else he's going to get pinched. But I think that if FlyQuest was a little bit more cynical and they just like banned Ziggs, they probably just win. You know, they probably just win in like 4 games. Just ban the Ziggs. Like APA is literally just a 2 trick. He just can play Aurelion Sol and Ziggs. I don't care what he played against Dignitas. It doesn't matter. Those teams, like Dignitas is so far below their skill level that it is just irrelevant what he did in that series. I think when he's playing against these good teams, the only champions that he can be good on in a top, like in matches versus top 4 teams, are Ziggs and Aurelion Sol. Ban out his champions. Make him beat you with something else.
Ziggs, a Soul, and then as you said, I was going to bring it up, but then you shut it down. I'm just bringing it up for the record books. Ahri was the champion that he played pretty well on against Dignitas, and I feel like that's funny because it was their former academy graduate that was known for their Ahri in oh shit, what's his name? Jan and
Harry.
Thank you. Harry was known for his Ahri as well. So I feel like that's just a strategy moving forward. It was lack of ego, or I guess it was ego non-bans that were not coming through against those champs. Feels like a pretty straightforward game plan here for 100 Thieves moving forward. Were we surprised with 100 Thieves performance against NRG with their bounce back, seeming like, okay, look, they got completely shut out by Cloud9, and then it was a very slobber knocker, slugfest, messy, as Monty would say, series against NRG.
I'm glad to see NRG go.
I don't know. NRG, like it was just weird to watch. I thought the strangest thing was how bad Palafox played. I was just very surprised because he's been somebody who had been like, it felt like he did level up going into like Worlds, for example, in LCS Summer Playoffs. He got fucking bodied by Quid, bro. Quid just fucked him up. So is what it is. I mean, yeah, if Quid is shitting on you to that degree, you don't deserve to move on.
You know, when I obviously I think we do our best to be unbiased and try to be straightforward with our opinions or whatnot, but I clearly love this NRG team. Uh, Even more so with
You
who
don't
he.
say.
Yeah. You know, I'm trying to marry contracts as Monty continues to fucking push. But like, uh, it, it throughout the year, this team in interviews felt way more stressed, and I could hear them say like, "Oh, you know, like we're relaxed and we're trying to work on our environment and we're trying to have these serious talks with each other, and that the pressure of returning, the pressure of being the best team in the West, it did get to them." But to see it manifest specifically on Palafox was it was tough to watch because it felt like this team that played with this carefree fuck it attitude and we're here for each other brotherhood. It didn't feel like that anymore. It felt like the stressors of everything kind of went away, and they've had like you can point to one move, right? Who he and Ignar swapping on over. Ignar now over with
Oh yeah,
Gigante.
truly getting rid of Ignar and replacing him with Huhi, the former championship winning lane partner of FBI. That's what tore the team apart, dGon. That was it. Ignar was the soul of the team.
But that's my point, right? It's like, what else
Exactly.
changed? What else changed?
The
All the
positional
coaches are
coaches. They
there.
fired all the positional coaches.
I think the meta changed.
Meta changed as well.
I think that's
I'm
an issue.
I'm almost there. Go with me. I'm almost there. And you're maybe not gonna like this, but like, okay, so there's high pressure. You have expectation now. You're no longer the underdog. One specific positional coach. Who was a positional coach for Palafox last year?
Monte?
It was motherfucking don't give a fuck Tanner Time DeMonte. What team is Tanner Time on now?
FlyQuest?
He's on FlyQuest. What place did FlyQuest finish?
You think he coached
Number
Jensen
one.
to a top one finish in regular season?
I think he and Jensen are two peas in a pod that are like, stress doesn't really get to him anymore. But I think Palafox was not. I think this was the first time Palafox was, like now the hunted. And I think it really manifested.
I mean, look,
a lot.
people are going to forget people are going to forget that Palafox has not been a super consistent player. I mean, he played some absolute dog shit games at Worlds. Like really egregious games in the Swiss stage. And the Mad Lions game in particular was quite a performance from him. And I think you look at the highs of that and like the meme quotes about him, seeming like a genius, and the hype kind of got carried away. But
Sure.
I think really like if you actually think about the state of LCS in summer of last year, like FlyQuest had completely fallen apart. That was supposed to be the super team from last year. Cloud9 had a very seriously flawed roster with Ebenez on it. Like very seriously flawed. And there wasn't really a more complete team to take them apart. So yes, I do think they were well coached. Yes, I did think they gelled together very well as a team, and they were more than the sum of their parts. But the ingredients matter at a certain point in time, and they did peak super hard against G2. They had their one glorious day, but just like Zeka, you got to come fucking back down to earth at some point in time. That's right. Zeka, he of the World's MVP status, not World Finals, obviously that was Kingen, but he was the MVP of Worlds. Where is he now, guys?
He's like casually shitting on that fraud faker, but who cares?
Yeah, he's beating T1.
Playing the best Tulia game of his life. Maybe not the best time to use that because he is like having a Palafox peak right now. But my point is like
I think T1's just dog shit, if I'm being honest. Do you watch their
wait. We'll get to that.
So like NRG should never have been like, it was not a good sign that NRG was the best team in NA. Let's put it that way. And now, should they be this bad? Absolutely not. They shouldn't be this bad, but they should be like a 4th place team. That is where they should comfortably sit. They should not be better than other rosters within this league, particularly FlyQuest and Cloud9. And maybe, with 100 Thieves, obviously, with Quid's performance recently, I think, individually, I actually think 100 Thieves is probably a lot stronger than NRG. They just have the tendency to do very dumb things in the mid and late game, and their macro is god awful. But I think in terms of talent, a lot of the players on 100 Thieves are better. So I don't know. I didn't have a lot of faith in NRG like coming into the season that they were going to replicate their performance. Because there is nothing in the extended history of their players' careers that would lead me to believe that.
Only one is FBI. Where FBI generally has had solid performances. But however, he wasn't in my all-pro voting. So yeah, I think that was.
If anything, dGon, I think it's a pretty big indictment of FBI, which is just a funny phrase to say.
Well,
indicting the FBI, that he wasn't as good. Like, surely, guys, FBI and Huhi reunion should be a very good bot lane in NA, especially because the bot lanes looked fucking weak in regular season. We talked about this last week. Who do you even put as like first team all pro AD carry and support? That's hard because Berserker wasn't very good for a lot of this split. And it was kind of difficult. Like B-Boy obviously overperformed expectations, but it wasn't like there were a lot of like banger AD carries and supports this season. And the fact that really FBI and Huhi couldn't separate themselves from the pack, it's not great.
No. NRG will be left to try and figure out the pieces moving forward, or if it's just a mental break, catch the right meta, and run it back in summer because they're out. All right. And then do we final words for Dignitas, Monty, before I let.
Well, we're going to do our low key, high key, low key, no key, which is that, okay, teams that are remaining: high key, Cloud9; low key, FlyQuest; no key, 100 Thieves, Liquid. Done.
Yeah, there it is.
Done. There we go. Done.
And we're out.
No one. I just want to believe in the kids, man. I want to believe in the kids. I want them. I want the story to be like, holy shit, Sniper got shit stomped, because I interviewed Sniper right afterwards, because it was like, hey, Sniper, I can't keep interviewing you when you're like winning and you get to talk all the shit. I need people to see what you're like when you get shit on. And he was like the same. He was a little shell shocked, but the same. And I was like, dang, like I really like. I love Fudge too.
What did the Zoomers say? Lil bro thought he was Zeus, just blind pick Aatrox every fucking game. All right, buddy.
Oh, it hurts hearing Monty say this shit, dog.
I mean, it's
almost 40-year-old man speaks like Zoomer. Cringe.
Oh. That's the name of the title.
Every day in my Twitch chat. That's how I read it too, bro. That's how it reads in my mind.
It's all right. I do this because the more I do it, the less cool it becomes for them to do it. So I'm just making it lame.
Nice.
See.
Perfect.
Yeah. Sorry, Cagel's chat. Lil Bro got bodied for real, no cap. He was actually mid, but in the top lane. All right. It's dead now. It's really, I fucking killed it. All right. Nice. Okay, we did our high key, low key, no key, just like that. Damn. Is it really? Yeah. All right. Sorry, 100 Thieves. I tried to make it, and instead we got Zoomer talked into oblivion.
Hey, man, I kind of hope they make it. It would be interesting to see them. I mean, they get destroyed at MSI, but it would be interesting to see it. I do not hate 100 Thieves. I think 100 Thieves at least has a chance to get better, which is exciting. But I like Quid. I think Quid is developing super nicely. I think Sniper is great. Their solo lanes look good. River, I have my concerns given that he fell off really hard towards the end of summer last year.
But clapped at Worlds. Versus BDS.
Classic Worlds. So I have my concerns about River's like late summer / international performance, but during regular season, for the most part, he's been very good since he's been in NA. I hope this 100 Thieves roster, like this roster at least feels like it has legs and it has room to grow, which is fun. And I like that about them. And I think that going to an international event would help that growth pretty substantially.
I just worry that his form is temporary. I worry that he's Palafox peaking and not just growing. Despite the fact that, hey, look, there's so many reasons why it makes sense that he's comfortable now. He's had the epiphany of not getting stage nerves. He's not being bossed around by double lift and all the expectations of this roster. And this feels like more of a roster built around him. That's my only fear. Cloud9, FlyQuest. What to look for? What is the most interesting matchup that you guys have here, or interesting point that you want to make for fans to watch in this series?
I just want to see if the top jungle can actually create enough of a advantage that the bot lane doesn't get completely run over.
Yeah, I think the key matchups are like Inspired Blabber and Fudge Whippo, because the bot lane is so heavily in favor of C9. And honestly, with Whippo, he has been very flippy, which is his MO, right? But he's been very flippy this split, which I don't think is going to be great in these playoff scenarios, because I think really if FlyQuest is going to win, they kind of have to be ironclad in top and jungle and just like hard win that way. Whippo likes to take too many risks.
I think he needs to, though, with his team. I think if he's not taking risks and like pressuring the game like that, I don't think that they can just win through bot side. I think he needs to be like a point of massive power if they're going to do anything versus C9 at least.
I wonder how far the development of Masu and Busio, but more specifically Masu, like comes to fruition here, because he did say, I was way more nervous and anxious for playoffs because there's multiple matches there because they lost some games, and it wasn't until game 5 when he finally settled in. And so those like that combination of all that stuff makes me wonder, like, okay, was that a, hey, I don't have to worry about it now because I've got it covered, or was that, damn, it took a whole fucking 5 games to finally feel comfortable on stage for playoffs? Like, given the fact that they were only playing, what, it would take them 2.5 weeks to play 5 games during the regular season. So I think that to me is going to be an interesting matchup because they're expected to lose the lane. So if they win a lane, that'll be surprising for me. All right. Those were our high key, low key, no key picks. If you missed them, go rewind and watch them. They were there. It took approximately 2 seconds while we picked apart some of the other teams that were eliminated. Okay, now Monty, final words on Dignitas.
Fuck Dignitas.
All right, cool. Dom?
Yeah, fuck Dignitas.
I hate this org. If you're going to complain about Immortals, you have to complain about Dignitas as well. I think the difference is that the org that owns Dignitas is Harris Blitzer, and they just bought the Washington Commanders for $4 billion, but can't actually put together, a decent org in LCS. So they at least have the resources to burn.
Yeah. Also, to throw out, the Washington Commanders have done a pretty good job getting a ton of draft picks and have cap space. And unfortunately, in League of Legends, there isn't the answer coming through the collegiate system that you can pick up to fix whatever issues that you got, unfortunately. But I guess you could go try.
If only the orgs had helped to build a regionalized system like in Europe to feed new talent, and Riot had not given the very bad at the time Play Versus complete control over high school esports, and then Play Versus had tried to shake down high schools to pay, because I don't know if you guys know this. High schools are famously rich institutions that definitely have a lot of money to pay for kids to play League of Legends.
Nice.
Shout out to the new management of Play Versus, though. They have actually stripped away all of the fees for playing, so they have a much better model in place right now. But I mean, what this has done is that the teams didn't help, and Riot itself decided to basically give a monopoly to an organization that was squeezing the high schools for cash. And so, guess what happens then? We have no players. Great job, great pipeline, path to pro, working great, guys, working as intended.
I've told this story before, but I used to play flag football against the CEO of Play Versus. I told you this, right?
I hope you tackled him.
We've gone body to body. He's bigger than me. He's like my height, but like just like probably like 240, 250. And the reason why they had a team was because he paid for the team. I'd be like, hey, why are you guys playing on that team? He had some like good players. And they're like, why are you guys playing on that team, man? And they're like, oh, well, he just pays for everything. We don't worry about it. He would roll up to like this, the park had like a turf field and it had like this stadium. It was like a LA Olympics. When were the LA Olympics, Monty? Do you remember, like the 80s or something?
1992. No,
no, they were, the last one was in 84, 88, I think.
Yeah, so this complex was built then, and it was like it was made for like training, and it's real ghetto now. There's like homeless camps and shit like in the parking lot, whatever. He would roll up in a different like Rolls Royce like every 3 weeks. It was wild. My man's was spending, and he was a big dick. So that was the guy that we trusted. And then he was coming out to like, you know, be like, how I
it's the guy Riot. It's the guy Riot trusted. It's the guy Riot trusted, to be clear.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. Well, best of luck, Dignitas, with your moves next year. Again, I appreciate the retaining of the best manager in the game, and Toby won. Hopefully, I really want success for Toby's sake. That dude has been grinding out years on Dignitas and has been a top manager. But we'll see. All right. Moving on. Let's close it on out here with some Galaxy Brain Club discussion. It's almost MSI time, guys. We've finally made it through one split of LEC and now struggling through the second one, as well as 3-week pauses for North America, Lunar New Year celebrations for our Eastern leagues, but we're almost there. Let's predict the Tier 1 regions teams towards MSI in this week's Galaxy Brain Club. All right. Let's start in the LCK. Sorry, dGon bot 9000 had like a little bit of lag there. Let's start in the LCK, where seems a little interesting. It was clear cut before, Monty. It was supposed to be just this boring Gen G T1, 3 years of nothing else, no parity. It's just the dynasties going at it and Gen G choking on the international stage.
But
not so fast.
You know, the more things change in Korea, the more they stay the same, right? Now we're back to Peanut just bodying Owner again. Owner himself looking pretty terrible. Cockiness from T1. Difficulty with switching metas. I'm not sure that this iteration of T1 is going to continue to struggle this much, because I think a lot of the issues that they have are a result of the Smolder meta and them like feeling that they have to opt into scaling and playing Zeri, which is a pick that Gumayushi and the entire team has famously been just like fucking terrible at. Like Gumayushi mechanically just cannot play this champion. Like his Qs cannot go in the right direction. It is impossible, apparently. He's tried so fucking hard to play this champion through all of the iterations of it being broken, and it has looked terrible the entire time. And I was like, well, maybe he looks good at it this time. Nope. No, he does not. No,
I mean, this is like the hardest iteration to play. Like, if you weren't playing Zeri before, why would you ever play it now? Just play fucking Jinx. Why doesn't Guma just play Jinx?
I was doing a VOD review, Dom, and I was literally just shouting at my monitor as they were sitting there on R5, and I was like, Jinx, and then they like hover Jinx, and I'm like, yes, that's the pick. And then they're like, they just switches into Zeri, and I'm like, fuck this. Fuck everything about this. I know you, Gumayushi. I know you, T1. This is going to be a complete disaster. So anyway, this is all to say that, you know, the last couple of losses have looked bad. You know, Zeus has played Aatrox in 9 of his last 11 games, and the only other time he's played 2 other champions were when he was playing against Gen G, and he lost both times. And now he actually finally has his first couple of losses on Aatrox, which they've been blinding incessantly this split. And I think they just have to, you know, really reconsider the way that they're prioritizing champions, because this doesn't make a lot of sense to me in the current meta. And without the ability just to like Hail of Blades win hard through bot, they look bad. They look bad. So I don't know if T1's going to MSI at this point in time, because here's the scary thing. It's the format of the LCK playoffs, right? Because Gen G is basically, you know, guaranteed to be first seed at this point in time.
Yep.
Then what happens is second seed is almost certainly going to be T1. But the problem with T1 being second seed is that there's a huge fall off between Hanwha and D+ and KT. And so the first round will be like Hanwha versus Fearx, probably.
Fearx.
And then
not
D+
KDF, yes.
I agree. And then D+ versus KT. But the thing is that Gen G gets to pick their opponent out of this. They will not pick Hanwha, and then T1 will have to play Hanwha in the first round. In their first round, I should say.
Yeah.
And I think that's scary. I think it's legitimately scary at this point in time for T1.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, like, I mean, it is double limb, right? So, like, are they going to lose to Hanwha Life twice? I don't think I'm that blessed to watch T1 lose and not make it to MSI. I feel like it'll just be T1 Gen G at MSI from LCK, like it always is. Like the 2 top teams, you know, it's part of the reason. I mean, why, like
Doran and Peanut are domestically blessed.
They are domestically blessed, but I think you saw in game number 2 of the you saw in game number 2 of the Hanwha Life series, like the issue that I have with Peanut, right? Like if he's playing something that is not a tank. And not like, I mean, like you can play things that are.
I mean, that draft. I think that draft was fucking terrible, considering that they had like the answer with Poppy in the first game, and then the second game they're like, T1 appears to be picking the same champions. Like, should we take Poppy? Nope. Take away the Lee Sin that owner just looked terrible on. I mean, Peanut is not a great Lee Sin player at this point in his career.
Yep. Yeah, right. I think that's like the biggest issue is like there's definitely I feel like Hanwha Life, if you were drafting really cynically against them, I think there's definitely issues with how they play the game in general. Like I feel like they're very dependent on certain champions. I don't know. I mean, I guess we can go into like narratives and stuff. I mean, Doran is just Zeus's father domestically, but I actually just still think that Zeus is just a better player than Doran. So I don't believe that would just be a win con for like all of eternity.
I mean, Zeus has the lowest counterpick percentage of any top laner in the LCK. Maybe they should start giving him counterpicks. I don't know, fucking crazy idea at this point.
I mean, I think counterpicking top is just not that good right now, just in general. Like, I just don't think that counterpicking top does much for your draft. Like, the champions that are blindable are just so strong into everything. Like, Asante can pretty much play into everything. Like, Udyr can play into everything. Like he
doesn't really play Cassante though. That's the problem. Also, is that he doesn't want to play Cassante at least.
Yeah. I mean, Redactin is like pretty stable at this point as well. So I don't know.
I think when he has gotten counterpicks, he's done quite well. Even in the Genji series, when he pulled the Tristana into the ADTF, I thought he did very well on it. He wasn't the reason why they lost that game, even though he did lose with the Trist.
Yeah, I just think the blinding top is just pretty good right now, just in general, because all the picks are so stable. And the champion, like the counter picks just don't work the same way they used to. It's like Yone's been nerfed. You look at all the items from the Bruiser champions, like Divine Surrender not being in the game completely made all those Bruiser champions so much worse when they play into like any of the blind picks. Like it used to be that if you played Jackson to Renekton, it's like if you're really good, you could get through the lane, and then you'd really outscale on Divine Surrender.
Well,
it's no longer you have any advantage.
To the Renekton point, Zeus has actually never been a very good Renekton player, which is weird. But that has been one of the flaws historically within his champion pool. He is 6-0 this year so far on Cassante, and he has a 70% Cassante win rate, but he has under 50% on Renekton, which is his only champion that he has an under 50% win rate on in his first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. In his top 20 most played champions, Renekton is his 7th most played, and it's the only one under 50% win rate.
Yeah, I think that this Renekton would actually suit Zeus better, though. When you look at like other iterations of Renekton where you kind of had to be like flanking and you had to win lane super hard and you didn't scale well, like this is a Renekton where now you're building like Eclipse and you're actually like going for like you can go one shot builds like pretty reliably, and I think that that's always been like Zeus's biggest strength as a top laner. He's very
like the Aatrox, the profane Hydra Aatrox.
Yeah, I feel like the thing that makes Zeus so much better than most top laners, like, and what makes him the best top laner in LCK is just his understanding of like kill thresholds. Like, it feels like he just understands when he can kill the enemy, and other people just don't have as accurate of a read on like what the damage thresholds actually are. So with there being more damage in the game for the champions that he's going to be playing, I think it could be really good for him going forward. So I mean, I just think it will just end up being T1 Genji and MSI from LCK, same way it always is.
You're probably
there's always some threat, whether it was KT or I guess DK in the past, but this year it's Hanwha Life that will threaten, but probably fall short.
Yeah, are you saying we're in for the KT replay where they just like beat them in the second round robin, and then
watch out, guys, they might lose.
It's true. I also think that T1 is smart and has diverse enough champion pools to make adjustments here. And honestly, I think losing to Genji and Hanwha Life in back-to-back weeks is a wake-up call that is probably helpful for them, because if they didn't lose now, then they might have lost those same games in playoffs itself, right? So you'd rather lose now. You'd rather readjust your strategy now. I think LCK Playoffs is going to be on 14-6, which will eliminate the smolder issues that they've been having, because they almost nearly had a smolder disaster today. I mean, they were in control of that game, but it just goes to show that late game smolder is just so terrifying that it doesn't matter how many elders or barons you get. Like, it's still kind of like wobbling on the edge. Because like T1 was definitely the better team. Don't get me wrong. It's just Smolder is just such a piece of shit that they struggled to close out that game. But I think like when the Smolder issue goes away, that they will be better. They will be better.
It is gone now. So if you're watching this video, Smolder is dead. So the client updated last night. It is.
Yeah. Online. But
yeah.
We got, unfortunately, we've got a couple more weeks of this regular season, but I am confident that 14.6 will be the patch that LCK Playoffs ends up on. I think they're on 14.5. I think they're on 14.5 today, actually. And so I think that they will make an adjustment. And nobody likes this bullshit. It is terrible to watch.
Yeah. Let's move to let's wrap up here with NA and EU, since these are quick conversations, and then we'll close it off with LPL. So NA, we've pretty much locked in Cloud9 and FlyQuest. In that order?
I mean, I'd like to see Cloud9 for sure, especially if they continue in this form. But either way, I think whether it's 100 Thieves or whether it's FlyQuest, you still get the value of sending some promising rookies to international competition where they will get absolutely bopped. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. Both of those teams will perform fucking terribly internationally. They are... If you do not want to see the disgusting things that will be done to FlyQuest bot lane if they qualify and like have to face like Ruler and Missing and Elkin, for example,
or Jackie Mako, like
yeah, Jackie Mako. Jackie was very good for the last like couple seasons. So yeah, I don't know. It feels bad, I think, if you're them. And then also, I think a lot of the edges that 100 Thieves is accustomed to playing around, such as Quid and Sniper's individual performances, when they start to hit international top laners in mid, they will no longer have those advantages. And then they will actually have to maybe macro harder in mid and late game. And that is not going to happen. So either way, it will be ugly. So Cloud9 is the real hope. But I feel pretty ambivalent as to whether it's FlyQuest or 100 Thieves going to MSI.
I mean, it might be TL. I think any of those teams could make it.
Oh, I definitely don't feel ambivalent about that, Dom.
I mean, I think that it could easily happen though. Like, it's not that hard for TL to end up making it.
Sneak in.
Yeah, they could sneak in. But yeah, I mean, it's one team from North America. Cloud9 is going. The other team is probably just going to get shit on.
The other team is the other team. Who does this? What team would benefit the most from going, Dom? Like, do you think you get more out of sending Sniper and him getting shit on internationally than Masu and Busio getting shit on
100 Thieves
internationally?
probably benefits the most, I would say. Like, FlyQuest, I don't think that their top side benefits at all, really. I think FlyQuest might have the best performance because they have like players that have been there before. So I don't think that Jensen is going to like massively choke or something, or Whipple will like play a lot worse. Inspired, I think, would be fine.
World semifinalist Jensen and world finalist Whippo in that roster.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that team is like going to perform. That'll probably be the best performing team if they went, because they can all at least like, or like their whole top side can play. The bot side is going to be an issue though.
All right. EU, what do we got for our LEC friends? G2 and
Fnatic. Easy.
All right, cool. Done. And then LPL, this is where it gets interesting because we got BLG on top, but we've got a nice helping of all their teams that could come slide in and take that number 2.
This is interesting because JDG just beat top. So that's intriguing, and we're starting to see them play Sheer more. And Sheer, I think, I don't know, Dom, how do you feel about Sheer? I was surprised by his like kind of calmness and like good laning.
He looks like 369. Like,
yeah,
when he's playing,
I thought he was shockingly good.
Yeah, he just plays like 369 plays. It's like very weird. Like, his ability to judge team fights and like understand in split seconds like what needs to be done and like peel and play like team fights front to back and stuff. I think that type of that is very strange to see from a rookie, because normally that's the part that takes time to develop from top lane players.
He also like doesn't seem to have nerves either. Like he stays really calm. Like he, perfect at times on KT has seemed like he was a little nervous or like making rookie mistakes. Fear has been much more composed. Yeah, I like what I've seen. I'm surprised it took them this long to put him in, but I think
he's 5 years old. Like, I think he just probably like it says that he's 18, but maybe he just turned like 17 or something. Like,
yeah, I'm sure they'll change his birth certificate. Actually, they don't have to for MSI because it's in Chengdu. Nobody's actually going to check, so don't worry about it. He just stays in China. No one will ever know. Send in all the 14-year-old prodigies.
I don't know if Light, our producer, can bring this up, but like, just go to his Leaguepedia page and look it up. Dom's
2005 birthday, by the way.
Oh, my back. He looks like he's 14. He does look like he's 14.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, they don't get the excuse. We're still sitting here babying 23-year-old Supa, rookie Supa, and 25-year-old rookie Frescowi.
There is no way this guy is 18 years old. That's impossible.
Yeah, did you see it? Did you see it?
It's on the show now. You guys can look at it.
He's a baby.
I feel like he got famous off of doing a Pampers video, a Pampers like advertisement like 6 years ago.
He is a baby, and he's like and he plays just so well. It's crazy.
Unfortunately, it wasn't a very good Pampers ad because they couldn't contain him from shitting on all over everybody.
All right, so with this change, do you feel like they're the front runner to take the second slot or potentially push for the first?
I think they're good.
That's high praise, Dom. That's high praise.
I mean, yeah, he plays the same style as 369. He's like blinding Cassante and just being like super stable no matter what happens. Like, you love to see it from a young player. I just think that the thing about JDG that I keep up, so Yamato and I have been fighting the JDG are frauds allegations the entire split. Like, people they see the fact that JDG is weaker than they were last year at the end of the year, and they're like, oh, like this team is garbage. They can't do anything. If you are one of the best team fighting and dragon setup teams in the entire world, if you have some of the best macro in the entire world, and you have a bunch of people that are extremely used to winning, that know how to fucking win, you will always be a scary team in the fucking world. Like no one is playing against JDG and are being like, yeah, that team's like free. Like it's not like Gen G would play against JDG tomorrow and they'd be like, yeah, it's just such a fucking easy game. It's like, holy fuck, wait, Chovy's playing against Yagao. That was the matchup where Chovy's supposed to shit on Yagao. Yagao won 2 best of 5s against Chovy last year, right? Like this team is a fucking good team. They are a scary team.
Well, it's also that they retained all of the players that are responsible for a lot of that vision and control, because they kept Ruler, Missing, and Kanavi, right? So it's like the players who are responsible for a lot of the vision and the dragon setups are still on this team. So it's not gonna. and also, by the way, Yagao is no slouch. He's a supportive mid laner, right? He actually does play for his team more as well, I would say.
You know what's so weird? It's so weird that people love how Faker plays, but they hate how Yagao plays. I never understand that, because like Yagao is just LPL Faker. Like he just plays the way that Faker plays. Like he is super, like he's in every single play. He's super smart about the game. He's always doing the right things. His laning is not as good as like the top tier laners in the LPL, but every other part of his game is so strong. That is literally just how Faker is now. I don't know. It makes no sense.
So then who's
I think what was lacking is that, they needed I think they needed, people wanted to believe that they had like a secondary threat. And it sounds weird because 369 was not really playing that way out of top lane last year, because Knight and Ruler were on this team, and 369 did the job that he needed to do in order for the team to function and be effective, which is one of 369's like greatest attributes, I think. But Flandre's performance was okay, but not amazing, and I think the solo lanes got people down. Now they were still a very good team, but I think that the injection of Sheer and his kind of exciting play that we've seen so far is probably, I don't think it's justified to completely 180 people's perceptions, but I think that's the effect that it's going to have.
It's exciting stuff here, as emphasized, right around the corner.
I think it's hard to call. Like I think BLG is going, but I don't know. I mean, JDG had a pretty solid win against Top, but Top is a very good team. And even though everybody loves like the FPX narrative, and finally we got to see, a game where Milky Way wasn't necessarily, the 1v9 carry, and the rest of his team feels like over time they are stepping up, which is good. I just don't have a lot of faith that this team is going to like make a deep run in best of 5s.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they'll make a deep run, but I do think they're the 4th best team. I just think that the other teams, JDG, Top, even though they beat them recently, I think that it's way easier to attack FPX in a best of 5 than it is to attack Top Esports or JDG or BLG.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think those are clearly. I do like what FPX has done with their team. Like I do think that they've like.
Oh yeah.
They've made themselves like a really. Yeah, they min-max well, and they've actually found like really good ways to enable all their players to be the best versions of themselves.
Covering it now.
Agreed. Credit to the coaching staff over at FPX. I think they've done a very good job.
Yeah, FPX going to finish up with 2 more wins here against RNG and Thunder Talk. The team below them, NIP, they've got some big show me games with BLG and Top Esports left. So it's definitely not a stroll for some of our top teams. They still have, I guess, potential punchers, one punch power kind of teams to take them down before we get into playoffs. But definitely fun to think about how much talent is in this league. And we only get to see 2 of them. Could be like 4. Could be, we only get to see 2 of them to possibly make it.
How sad is that? Like, I feel like there's 3 teams from both LCK and LPL that you want to see at MSI, right? Like, I would take Hanwha Life. Just fuck the other teams, man. Just who cares about the 2nd seed LCS and LEC? They suck. We
Hey,
saw last year that the best team
Tom.
from LCS is worse than the 4 best teams from LPL. Just give 3 LPL slots, 3 LCK slots, fuck NA, fuck EU, and let's just have a tournament of those 8 teams. I don't even want to watch the wildcard teams.
Don't worry about it because the VCS match fixing scandal is going to cause the delays of VCS playoffs. And so VCS won't send a representative. And so they will send a third Chinese team because it's in China. And obviously that's what would happen.
That would be
I think
cool,
people would be
but
way
I doubt
too
it
mad.
too. Yeah. Oh man, Astral Gaming or Rainbow 7. We never had an opportunity to play because we had to play against, I don't know,
Please, man,
top esports. Yeah.
It was cool, and these regions were actually made up of players that are in that region. But like LLA just has a bunch of fucking giga-washed Korean players at this point. Like, who wants to see those teams play?
It's okay. Once Riot combines Brazil, America, and LCS, CBLOL, and LLA together into one America's League, that will free up additional slots for Korea and China, Dom.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
You gotta look at the upside.
What is it? Is it just going to be like a 16-team league?
Why not? They'll just LPL it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I guess we could LPL it. And it would be cheaper to run in Brazil.
No worries. Here's what you do, dGon. Here's MonteCristo's combination cost savings plan. You ready? You ready for this?
I'm ready.
You move all the LCS teams to Brazil, and you compete out of Brazil for super cheap, and therefore you can run 7 days a week of the Americas region.
But then you're creating a facility in Brazil. You're creating North American.
Yeah, how much is that going to cost compared to running a studio in Los Angeles, dGon?
Yeah, but you're not going to get rid of your studios in Los Angeles. If you're 100 Thieves, like, you're not getting rid of the compound. If you're Team Liquid, you're not getting rid of the Alienware training facility. That's just an additional thing.
Why not? No, dGon, you're looking at this the wrong way. All of those teams are soon going to have Saudi Arabian gaming facilities to boot camp in, right? Which will work for their Counter-Strike teams who are based in Europe. I mean, already Team Liquid is in the Netherlands. Like, their Counter-Strike team is in the Netherlands most of the time. And their Dota team also operates out of Europe. So actually, I'm saving Team Liquid a bunch of money, dGon. And I'm saving Riot a bunch of money. Everybody goes to Brazil.
I think you're only saving Team Liquid money. I don't know if the other teams are set up the same way that TL is already set up. Because, like,
what 100 Thieves compound? Bullshit, dude. So first off, they can use that office space for something else, right?
Sure.
They don't own that building. I'm pretty sure they're just on a lease. They surely have enough. Like, dGon, it's one practice room in the facility that they could change into something else. This isn't an operation of 30 people that you have to move down there. Just send your players and coaches. The operations team can stay in LA.
That sounds like a logistical nightmare.
Honestly, here's the other thing, dGon. I don't even think 100 Thieves wants to be in the LCS anymore. I think you offer them a decent payout for that slot, and they are fucking out the door tomorrow.
How many teams take that payout? Out of the 8?
Dignitas, 100 Thieves, maybe Immortals.
I think Immortals. I think that's it. Yeah. Those
it depends. It depends. The kicker with Immortals is that if they can change to their MIBR brand, which they actually own, and operate out of Brazil,
massive. That's smart.
There's a real reason for them to stay in, especially if there's an America's League, because they can use a very popular brand that they already own. And for all the shit they eat about Immortals socials having no standing, MIBR is huge fan base in Brazil.
Yeah. I like this plan, Monty. You might have turned me. Losing 100 Thieves in the hype, though, kind of sad. But I do think they are one of the teams.
No, is it sad? Is it sad, dGon?
It is.
You're sad about the players.
Champions. No,
yes,
but it was like
the org is dog shit.
The org is had an identity. Shit. They had an identity. Compare that to Dignitas.
No, their identity is when they're doing well, Nadeshot tweets about them, and when they're not doing well, Nadeshot pretends they don't exist. That's their fucking brand.
That's not their brand. That's not just
Hoodie org. Get the fuck out.
Oh, all right. Another one done and dusted. Those were our picks for MSI.
No,
Who do you think's going
I don't
MSI?
actually know. So I think it's BLG. I'm gonna take JDG. I don't know. That one's really hard to call. What do you
I
think,
thought
Dom?
both of you guys were picking JDG.
Yeah, I'll pick JDG.
Yeah. Give me a dark horse because there's way more teams in
FPX.
LPL.
The FPX and the Milky Way dream.
I just wanted to see if you would pick
his
top or Milky Way.
galactic dominance will. Well, I don't think top is a dark horse. FPX is definitely a dark horse.
I mean, dark horse for like playoffs to make a run might be like LNG. Even if they're fucking terrible now, like they're getting it together. They're getting better.
Oh, Dom, I heard rumors of Tarzan to D+. How do you feel about this?
I don't know. Everyone told me Lucid was what Milky Way actually is.
I didn't tell what people told you. I'm asking what do you think about Tarzan to D+, because I think it's interesting.
I think it doesn't make any sense. I think you should come back to the LPL. Honestly, I think
I would not be unhappy if he came back to LNG. I fucking loved LNG last year.
Well, I mean, I just think that the way it is if he joins D+, I talked about it on stream. I don't think that it makes them better than Gen.G, T1, or Hanwha Life even. And yeah, like maybe they're a better team than they are now, but they're not better than the teams. Like he doesn't fix the problems that the team has already. So what's the point?
I mean, depends on whether they think he can actually shot call or not, because that's the biggest problem with D+.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's more of a like just there's too many bad players on the team. Honestly, there's too many players that are like brainless on the team. That's what I think.
Well,
not enough brains.
I mean, it doesn't fix the aiming Kellen problem, which is not great.
It's not good. Yeah, Tarzan was offered. Apparently, the rumor is that NIP contacted Tarzan, but NIP couldn't offer what Tarzan wanted. The team closest to getting Tarzan right now is DK. So Tarzan's getting that bag, even if it's just for a playoff push and the rest of the split. You know, what if they're
I don't think it would be now. It would be for like summer, no?
Yeah, it'd be for summer.
Yeah, it would be cool if it was for now. But yeah, I'm just so surprised they don't rate Lucid the way that it seems like everyone else does. He's had big shoes to fill, and he's done a good job. He's not done the Milky Way job, but he's done a good job. All right, those are our picks for MSI. Who's making it to MSI? Let us know in the comments what you think. And that wraps us today, guys. A good episode. A very active week today. Almost 2 hours of content for you at home. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you do, please like and subscribe. It helps us grow our numbers, helps us with the algorithm of YouTube, of our podcast, wherever you may be watching. And also, again, help us out with our sponsors. We're only giving you the good stuff. Factor this week. Make sure to head on over to factormeals.com/powerspike50 to get 50% off your order of Factor. That helps us continue to pay the lights and watch a ton of League of Legends to give you the hottest takes. Dom, what you got this week?
Same thing as always.
Monty, what you got?
Dom, when are LPL playoffs? Have they actually been announced in terms of dates yet? I've been waiting for those dates for a long time.
I think they said 3/31, March 31st.
And then it'll go for 2 weeks, presumably.
Yeah, I mean, normally what they do, I would assume it just ends on the Sunday, 14 days from that Sunday. That's what I would assume. Because normally it's like they just do like the first 8 straight in a row, and then there's like a 1-day break, and then they just do the next round, and there's like a couple-day break, and then they do the finals.
Right.
That's nuts.
So that'd put it at the 14th, which is the same day that LEC and LCK finals are.
Yeah.
Yep. We didn't even talk about the fact that Riot hilariously moved everything off of Sunday this weekend.
Yeah, they did.
They moved LEC and LCS off Sunday this weekend because, I shit you not, guys, the VCT Masters Madrid finals. So Riot simultaneously claims that there is very little crossover in their audience, but yet also cannot have any League of Legends going on that day in the West that might conflict with Masters Madrid. And even if it's in America, can't have that.
I was wondering about that. Why my schedule's this way, but right. Thanks, Needham.
Needham, the great lover of League of Legends, he loves spending his Super Bowls and Easter Sundays watching League of Legends.
He
Yep.
does.
Like
And
a
you all
good
get to do
Christian
it.
American, Super Bowls and Easters are for me.
Yep.
And you'll get to do it with us in 2 weeks, as that'll be LCS Finals. Y'all, thank you so much for watching. We'll be here next week to break down the elimination match from playoffs, see who's making it to finals over for LCS, and all the world of League of Legends. See you guys later.